quite a lot of these children, a lot of these kids live in cages or barely fed. Every few days I see another foster kid found dead in a cage. It's always kept real quiet, though. Just, well, another dead child in a cage. It's actually legal for the foster parents to keep them in cages, but you got to feed them. And I wanted to get into the economy, but just understand, the news isn't going to play it up, or it's going to be buried in the back of the paper. And you're not going to know about the evils committed by government and the private corporations that own it, but you are seen as a human resource. You're called that under eugenics. Eugenics runs our country, and that means you're an animal that needs to be exterminated. You are hated. You are scum and you are filth. And the government, the police are all being trained and slowly twisted and slowly given more and more of the picture as they're trained to basically act as predators against us. And that's what's happening. Now, understand what's coming to our economy. You think things are bad now. This is only the beginning. What's coming? Remember, we told you Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac would go under 8 years ago. In articles we wrote and in shows we did because we had the experts on. By design, it's a Ponzi scheme. What is a Ponzi scheme? Well, a classic one works like this. Somebody claiming to be a Rockefeller or a Rothschild or an Astor. And this scam goes on all the time. It's like Dirty Rotten Scoundrels or something. You know, go rent that comedy movie if you want to figure it out. And they show up in a local blue blood area or wannabe blue blood area at the local country club, and they say, oh, I've got an incredible investment. I'm making, 500% on it a year. It's so wonderful. And then they'll even have a partner who they, have at the country club with them. Look, Woody here, he invested $5,000 with me and made, $300,000. And then they'll get one old woman, generally, one sucker, to invest with them. And then after that sucker invest, they will pay that out. So it's got a little bit of seed money in it. Or, like when you're fishing, you got to put some bait on there. That minnow might have cost you $1. That little fish, that little piggy fish or whatever you're putting on the line when you're deep sea fishing, you got to put it on there. Or like deer hunting, you got to invest in a rifle. And see, criminals prey on you. Criminals prey on know-it-alls and yuppies and trendies, and you're there to be fed on. That's your lot by the government and by everybody else. You've got sucker written on you. Just like cops release illegal aliens for drunk driving or no insurance and admit it. But you are the sucker American citizen. You've got money. You're going to be fed on. Well, it's the same thing. And so they sucker one old lady to invest $5,000. They pay her the $100,000 or whatever. And then all her friends pile on. And sometimes a Ponzi scheme only takes one level. But, let's say 3 or 4 of her friends pile on, and then they get a huge amount back. And then, basically, the whole country club invest. And this time they all pile on greedily, and they say there's only so many that can invest, so many that can get on board with this. And they pile on board. And then at the end of it, the guys that run the Ponzi scheme, they skip town with $20 million on a, maybe $1 million investment or less. And a lot of times they don't even pay out the first investments. They just keep promising it's going to happen. And that's the American people. Private banks in 1913 bought off the government and said, for all money that's created and issued by the Treasury, we will be paid interest. Now, before the government just issued currency, okay, and we had an economy that grew at over 10% a year, the apple of the world's eye, and the banking associations cried out against it. Foreign banking associations lobbied openly for over 100 years. They tried to kill presidents, did kill presidents, tried to kill Andrew Jackson, others. The whole national debate was about this. The private banks trying to take over the country. Now, you tell a yuppie, and they say, that doesn't exist. Andrew Jackson didn't exist. His fight against the banks didn't exist. Because the yuppie's been taught they run everything, they're invincible, everything's a joke, there are no scams, there is no corruption, you don't have to watch the government, you can trust everything, everything's fine. Because they are powerful, you see. They're members of the elite because they live in a $1 million house or a $500,000 house. When they're not. It's all about play up or dress up like 3-year-olds, dressing up like cowboys and Indians, or little girls like princesses with little jewels, fake plastic jewels. costume jewelry. That's what adults do. And they go to country clubs and they go to events and they walk with their heads up in the air and feel powerful because their ancestors busted their butt and carved out a continent and were strong and didn't trust the government and were willful. Nobody said we were ever good. But the point is, we built something, our ancestors did, and now we're the fat, weak slobs that inherited it all, and the global scammers came in here, bought up the newspapers, and sold us on a pack of lies, and here we are 90 years after the Federal Reserve Act, getting ready to be fully brought down. And the big central banks have been consolidating, imploding economies, destroying markets, getting control of the regulators, shutting down small businesses, consolidating for a long time. But we have the IMF and World Bank documents. We know what the Club of Rome plans are, what the Bilderberg Group plans are. We lay out years before what's going to happen because we infiltrate, we spy, we have sources, we get shot at, we get death threats to bring you this information, people like Jim Tucker. And some take the pearls that are thrown before them. Others literally just stomp on it like hogs and run on off the cliff. And that's fine. That's what you like. Go ahead. This is what you want. This is what you get. This is what you want. This is what you get. You begged for it. Don't worry. You're going to get everything you ever dreamed of bad and more because you had lack of vision, because you made your forefathers roll in their graves at your shameful, willful, smart-mouthed mindset. Now, when we come back, I'm going to briefly finish up with the Federal Reserve Ponzi scheme now coming right down to the last few years. Right down to it. Bubble after bubble they control. Shearing after shear. Always shearing the sheep. Now that there's time to butcher the sheep.